Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Going Rogue, our weekly Star Wars podcast / video on YouTube, internet show. That was bad, but yeah. So where are we going from here? So I wanted the show to be a little bit more formatted, but yeah. So we're gonna get right into the show. No lollygagging, but usually what we can do is review a certain thing, but like I have not caught up on any of the Disney Gallery Mandalorian stuff. I think I'm just gonna hold off on that until and just review it as a whole series.
Yeah,
I think that'd be smart to do. Maybe I'll do it as a separate video, but yeah. So we're gonna go over a couple of things in the news. Three things that I want to hit. I think the biggest one first is Star Wars Celebration.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's official.
It's canceled.
I mean, we can't say we didn't see this coming.
We did. I just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it was like a couple days ago that they actually said, it came out officially canceled. They're not doing, as far as I know, not doing anything digital, which I think would be great because there's so much news that they can drop because they've announced directors and all that kind of stuff. Mandalorian season 2 will be coming out. I imagine they were going to drop some kind of trailer for season 2 at Celebration.
Yeah. So
because Comic-Con did this too, they canceled, but they're doing digital panels for all the movies and everything like that. So I think they should do that as well, just to keep Star Wars on everybody's minds. Not like it's already on my mind all the time.
Yeah, because it kind of sucks that it's like when we first got the email and first saw their like official tweet or whatever, I understood it to be 2021.
Yeah, that was the suckiest part.
And it was just a big old blow when it was like, oh no, it's actually 2022.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, this is the correct move. I mean,
no, it's the right move.
Like who wants to be stuck in a enclosed space with thousands of people with Corona spiking at this point? There's gonna be a second wave.
Although I did see a pretty funny tweet, and I think it was Jim Vejvoda, and he said, something about the irony of Star Wars Celebration being canceled because it's like the only place where you're guaranteed that people are going to be wearing masks and respirators. It's like, that's pretty imaginative.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the correct move. You don't want to. It's a liability thing for them. But I was surprised that they don't like. Oh yeah, so 2021. Now it's 2022. Now it's like
sucks.
It sucks so bad.
Sucks a lot. The only good thing is that if somebody like we know one of our Schmodown buddies. They weren't going to be able to go because they were taking another trip and they weren't going to be able to, afford it, so many trips in 1 year. So for people that may have had to kind of forego Celebration for something else in the year, maybe this will give other people time to be like, ooh, okay, I can make 2022. So, if you're going to look at the bright side, hopefully that's a bright side.
Yeah, and I like that you can either cancel or transfer your ticket over, which we're just going to
we're just going to
transfer it.
As long as we have proof that it's transferred. I don't want them coming back in 2022 saying we don't have tickets.
No, you don't have. They're going to send you another email, and there's this portal thing you go through. You either choose to refund or transfer your tickets. So it's soon. I gotta go over the email.
I have a ticket, and I'm not losing.
No. But I think the exciting thing on that end is our daughter will be what?
5
by that time. Who knows if she'll want to come with us?
Wait, we don't know math. No, wait. No. She'll be 4.
4.
Whoops. She'll be 4.
4. I mean, even there in that's a good age to understand Star Wars.
She'll be a cute little Rey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Put her hair in a little bun. She'll be so cute.
Yeah. So it's just, I think that's if there's a silver lining to that, maybe we bring her with us this time, because there's no way she was coming with us this year.
No,
there's
no
absolutely
way.
no way.
Imagine her as little Rey, and then those people that build the droids, they have a little BB-8. They roll around with it.
She'll be cute. And to be quite honest, if they were like, we're gonna ride it out and see what happens, I would have actually said, hey, can I get a refund? Because
we talked about that. Like, what if they do keep it going? Are we realistically gonna go? And
it's like, no. To be honest,
responsibly said no.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even want to risk it. Let's just chalk it up to like, let's get a refund or credit.
Which after us making that decision and then them coming out, I was like, all right, cool. Because I would have had some major FOMO if it would have still been going on and we decided not to go.
To be honest, when the London celebration happened, when they had celebration in London, I think it was 2016 to 17. One of those, the one after Anaheim. they did it. They streamed everything. They did everything digitally. I really enjoyed that because like I was at work, I had it on another screen, and I was able to watch along while I was doing work.
Yeah, but nothing beats.
Yeah, I know, but still, I got a lot of the news as it was coming out, and it was still a fun time.
We're in it for different things. Andrew's in it for the news. I'm in it for the cosplays.
Oh no, I'm
interactions.
I'm there for that too. I mean, we've said it several times. There's nothing like a celebration.
No,
there's nothing like being in that atmosphere with that many people. The same kind of mindset as you.
Yeah.
No trolls around.
I just don't want to be that close to anybody right now.
Yeah. So I think it was the right move.
It was for sure the right move.
Man.
And then I think we were listening to SEN, and Christian was saying because people were like, why 2022 and not 2021? And
yeah.
something about like release dates for movies or whatever.
Yeah, because
whatever.
Yeah, because the movies aren't coming back to 2022, so I think they'll have a whole bunch of news by then. It just sucks. Like now, it's like we already had to wait a year in between Orlando and Chicago.
Yeah.
And now we have to wait
2 years.
2 years. It's like Jesus.
It's forever.
Yeah, but it'll go by fast. I mean, look at this year. Look at this year.
Well, actually, yeah, this year's flying by, but it needs to because get out of here, 2020. Am I right?
Can you just hit the reset button on 2022?
I don't think I want to go back to the beginning. I just want to go away.
Just hit the button. Just fast forward. We're on in 2021.
Yeah, the fast forward button.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go? I don't know. Maybe 2025. Like, let's get clear of this.
But anyways, so that was the big news that dropped. A couple other things that dropped this past week. There was a new announcement it was a leak, quote unquote. You hear my air quotes, audio listeners, that this new game EA is developing, or that it's going to be released. I can't remember. I think it's next year. It's Star Wars Squadrons, and it's basically what it sounds like. It's dogfighting. Or you can play as the Empire or the actual where this game takes place is in the New Republic, right after Return of the Jedi. So you either fight for the New Republic or you fight for the withering Empire. And like I hear there's a story mode, which I'm all for because give me all new canon. The trailer dropped a couple days ago. Wedge Antilles is in there. Harrison Dula is in there. Iden Versio is in there, and it's like, oh man, I would love to do this. And then there's a 5v5 online mode. I'm really excited about that because Battlefront 2 right now is just I haven't played in so long, and if you jump in now, you're just gonna get mauled by everybody.
It's like any game.
Well, no, just because the way that Battlefront is, there's perks that you can either just play to get to them, and it takes like a million hours to get them, or you can just buy them.
Oh.
And everybody just buys them, and you get smoked the second you're in the game. It's like it was not fun. But they're promising no microtransactions in this one, which I'm all for because that was a big downfall of Battlefront and Battlefront 2. But what I'm excited for is I think if I read the article right, there's for both the story mode and the multiplayer mode, you can do it in VR. So you get a VR headset, and you can be like in the next.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Sounds expensive though.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're not going to have it.
I missed birthday, Christmas.
No. Maybe like 5 Christmases and birthdays combined.
I mean, does this sound something that you would want to play at all? Because it's a PC game. From what I hear, it'll be available on Steam.
Depends on how much it is.
It depends, but I'm buying it regardless.
I'm very frugal with my money.
And you right now.
I don't like to spend things frivolously.
The only game you play now is Overwatch, basically.
You GD right.
Yeah, but I'm all about this, just the immersive fact of jumping into it like an X-wing. I'm all for that. Like you know me, I'm an X-wing guy. I would love my brother has my older brother had the PS4 VR headset, and he had the special mission for Battlefront 2. I was losing my mind when he brought it home for Christmas. I was like, this is awesome.
Tell me how much he uses it now.
Exactly. I mean, he has a kid. So
a lot of people have kids.
I
mean, even people that don't have kids complain that they don't have time to do anything.
Yeah, but
so how much do you really use
this sounds like something that if I was gonna get, and then our friends, or a couple of our friends are Star Wars fans too. Yeah. I can see them getting it because it's a 5v5 and just having our squadron together, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm
very curious as to how much it is because a couple of our Star Wars friends also have babies. So
if anything, if it's on if it's cross-platform, it's on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Oh, I was talking the VR experience. Okay.
Oh yeah, no.
You're just saying the game.
Just the game.
Okay.
The game. I know we probably can't get the VR thing because of money, and how often am I going to use the VR headset? And
yeah,
it'd be a fun thing to find a friend that has it, and you're like, let me borrow it for a weekend.
Can we reverse engineer the virtual boy that we have to run it?
No, but I'm excited for this because Battlefront 2 is great for the story mode, but then like the multiplayer, the only thing I played on multiplayer was the dogfights. So this game is all about dog. I'm like, just give me that game right now. So I'm excited for that. Another piece of news that I think was very interesting was it came out, the Obi-Wan series that's going to be coming out. We'll be utilizing the same type of stagecraft VR, well, not VR, stagecraft set building as The Mandalorian. I know you've heard me talk about this to death. The whole, they call it the volume, this 360 degree like monster LED screen thing that, and I don't think anybody's giving, because when I hear people talk about it on like SEN and all these other places that I follow, they're like, oh yeah, it's cool, it's great for the actors, they get to reality. It's like, this changes filmmaking. I don't know why nobody's gushing over this besides me, because it's practical lighting and all that stuff. So it makes sense for Obi-Wan to use this because budget is probably the biggest thing that it saves. And you don't have to fly everybody out to locations and things like that. So this is a no-brainer for me. I mean, I know you don't have much to say about this because it's like, yeah, I don't know. You're not gushing over the fact of this volume thing as much as I am.
Well, and I also haven't watched the special on Disney Plus yet.
You need to, because you were passing by while I was watching it. And I'm like, this is blowing my mind.
I heard.
I was like, what is going on? Like why is nobody talking about this? Because it changes filmmaking. It absolutely, because the thing that I've always discussed, like Star Wars always try to push innovation. Always try to push VFX in somewhere, and like at some points, like, you know, Lucas is like, just make it all green and we'll handle it in post. It's like, maybe that's not the best thing for filmmakers to do, but this is something that Favreau pushed for. It's like, we need to, you know, if we push for this technology, the technology is finally caught up to George's vision, to what he wanted filmmaking to be.
Imagine if the prequels were made with this.
That's what I was exactly thinking, because like, since like Obi-Wan is already, it's like, it was such a great success on Mandalorian, and I imagine it saves so much money because of like, you know, time is money, and like they said in the special, like, you can change sets in like an hour, when if you would have to do that traditionally, it would take like maybe 5 hours to redress the set, redress the lighting. This one's like, oh, you hit a button, boom, new environment, redress the set a bit, look at your angles, and then you're ready to shoot.
They should reboot the prequels.
Yeah. So I'm thinking in my head, it's like, what? Like, can you imagine people on Rise of Skywalker just finished this massive movie, and you're basically almost like 50% of the sets are green screen and all that, and then the Mandalorian comes out, and you're like, where was this? Why couldn't we film on this? So like, poor Daisy Ridley and John Boyega are out in, like, you know, the desert, sweating.
Yeah,
you know,
but that's also pretty sick too.
Yeah, and
like, it had to suck in the moment, but that's an experience that's pretty amazing.
But if I was an actor and it's like, hey, we can fly out to the desert and, you know, get these amazing, you know, visuals and stuff, or we can do it in a environment controlled studio.
Yeah.
We don't have to spend half as much time as on setup, and we can commit a bunch of time to performance.
No, that's true. That's preferable.
And if it's because like there's this one scene in Rise of Skywalker with the infamous They Fly scene when they're getting chased.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes of that was like they're out in the desert, but they are in a circle of green screen. It's like, why are we out here if we're just going to be green screen anyways? And and to JJ's credit, it's like there's no way to simulate sunlight properly as it bounces off the surfaces of things and the sand. So, but like. It's like, what was I going with that? But yeah, so like, can you imagine, like, because also with that, the green screen, like, now you have something to react to and respond to as an actor.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer that they use. I would venture to guess moving forward with any other Star Wars property, because it was Lucasfilm partnered with Unreal and a whole bunch of other companies that pioneered this technology. I would venture to say any future Star Wars live action anything uses this technology. It's like, why wouldn't you? You have this amazing thing at your disposal, and you save so much money and time and effort, and you can focus on what matters: the story, the performances, and stuff like that. So
just for fun, they should reboot one of the prequels. I mean, they've rebooted the Hulk, like, I don't know, 78 times.
And Spider-Man. You're gonna have a whole crowd of Star Wars nerds going like, no, don't touch the
whatever.
I mean,
we rebooted How many Marvel movies? How many DC movies? How many iterations of different people have we seen? Just do one for fun. See how it goes.
See how it goes. Or not even just like, because like, there's time spans in between each movie.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a time span between Phantom Menace and Attack the Clones that we really haven't touched.
1.5.
Yeah. Like maybe tell like a mini series within that. And then
Anakin going through puberty.
Yeah. Something something like that, and use the volume to tell the story, because God, I'm sounding like a broken record. This changes not only Star Wars, it changes filmmaking, period. Just do you imagine somebody else in the MCU, or somebody from the DCE, or some like another film, a brand new property that some kid is trying to think up in his head, and it's like, I don't have to use green screen anymore, and I could save so much time and effort on VFX just by using this technology. Changes everything. So I'm excited for Obi-Wan to be using that, because it's a no-brainer. So let's go ahead and get into our main topic of the night, and because we did this with Rogue One, a Star Wars story, because we're obviously watching the movies over and over and over and over and over again, and and you said that you had a new respect for Rogue One, and I have too. I've come to respect and acknowledge some of the more finer details of that movie. I wanted to get your opinion, and also my see if I think of anything that. Going back and looking back on The Last Jedi, do you see anything different in this movie, or are you pretty much the same as you've been watching it from the first time? Is there anything that has changed? So, because people know my thoughts, because I actually have a review on this channel about it, but I don't think I've ever gotten your full take on The Last Jedi.
I mean, with each viewing, I don't think I've gotten anything like terribly new out of it. Like, I definitely have a new appreciation for Rogue One. That's definitely true. But The Last Jedi, not that I think it's bad. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I just watching it, several times. I don't really think it's changed much. It's still the way it was. I enjoyed it. In complete honesty, again, not saying it was bad, but in all honesty, it was my least favorite of the sequels.
Really? Of the sequel of these newer movies, the sequel trilogy, just the saga film.
The sequel trilogy, the saga films.
Okay.
It's probably my least favorite of 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's not bad. There are definitely things Definitely things I'd change about it.
My bad.
Definitely things that I liked about it. But that could be said about all of them, really. I mean, there's something I changed. There's little things I changed about every single movie, the whole saga.
Yeah.
But there was just more things in The Last Jedi that I was like,
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. It's not that I think it's a crap movie or anything like that. I don't. It has one of my favorite shots in all of Star Wars history.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So, it's a good movie. It's just that no repeat viewing hasn't really changed anything or emphasized anything for me. It just still is what it is for me.
Yeah, and when you look at this movie, this is the movie that really changed the landscape and the fandom as far as the Disney era Star Wars goes, because
it was weird.
Force Awakens hit, and that was like there were haters out there like, oh, it's just a repeat of A New Hope and blah 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 blah.
Which, screw you, it had to be that way. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, we can talk about that another time. But like everybody's like on board, like, oh man, Star Wars is back. I've been on record saying I'll never have an experience in theaters or ever with any other movie ever than I did with Force Awakens. Avengers Endgame comes close to that.
Yeah, close.
But Force Awakens, by far, I will never have an experience like that.
Yeah, because we did the whole waiting in line, getting there however many hours early, sitting and talking to other fans in line
going
while
with
we waited.
A huge group of friends.
Yeah.
Just looking for every like piece of like TV spot, trailer, just anything to get me get to see what the movie's about and everything, and like the hype leading up to the film was like unlike anything else I've ever experienced. And it's like, all right, great. The movie hits. I'm like, oh my God, I love this movie. And it's your favorite Star Wars film.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah. And then like Rogue One comes out. It's like, okay, it's good. But I have my issues with it, but it's not a terrible movie. And for the most part, people are still on the Star Wars train. It's like, yeah, all right, Star Wars. Oh, we love Star Wars. Then The Last Jedi hits.
It was a weird time in the Star Wars universe.
For a lifetime fan of Star Wars, I mean, we've seen this before. I've had this argument before. Like, we've seen these ebbs and flows of Star Wars of like, oh, this ruins Star Wars. Oh, this is the greatest Star Wars thing ever. And like, the prequels are great, example of that and all of that stuff. But like this felt different. That like you either loved it, it's the best thing ever since Star Wars came out, or it ruined Star Wars for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not on either side of the spectrum. I'm sort of like a great analogy I've ever heard. I was like in the scene where Kylo Ren and Rey are fighting over the lightsaber, and the lightsaber's going like this in between them. That's me. It's like if
you're the lightsaber,
I'm the lightsaber in the middle of like, oh, like I love. There's some great things in Last Jedi that I really like, but then there are other things I'm like, oh man, why do they have to do that?
Yeah.
I don't. So like that's me. It's like I'm teetering back and forth, and I do agree out of the saga films, and I do acknowledge that Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi is the better made film out of the two, out of Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi. I totally acknowledge that.
That means nothing to me.
So when you look at as the better made film, like filmmaking, like directing and all that stuff, and like pacing and writing, and like I acknowledge that The Last Jedi is the superior film in that sense, but I gravitate more towards The Rise of Skywalker because of all the moments in it, the characters, and like I've never been so emotional in a Star Wars movie than I've ever been in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. And
if I had my choice, like, all right, you can either watch The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
But like, let's go ahead and get into more in the conversation of like, what were some things that you really liked about The Last Jedi? Because I have a couple.
What are some things you really liked?
I said I'm 50-50 on this movie. The stuff, everything to do with Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren, and Rey.
Great.
Their storyline is amazing.
Yeah.
There's some things in there with Luke Skywalker that I didn't think I wanted, but ended up hitting really hard for me and really resonating with me. Even more I go into this movie, the more I talk about it, the more I watch it, I'm like, God, that was something I didn't realize I wanted, but I love it so much. Luke Skywalker being this damaged hero that, because every hero goes through this where they think that what they're doing isn't furthering the good, it's doing more damage than good. So they put aside everything. And it's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm over this. And they go off and exile themselves. Every hero, Superman does it, Spider-Man, any hero you think of always hits this point. And I didn't realize I wanted Luke to hit this point. And another thing that hits me so hard was, especially being a father and an uncle, because my brother has a child. People don't realize, like, why would he exile himself? It's like, just imagine this from a human standpoint. Imagine that your brother or sister entrusted you with their child. It's like, I need you to help my child.
Yeah.
I'm not going to raise them. I need you to raise them the best you can. And you almost get to the point where you almost kill them.
It's pretty extreme. But
That's very extreme. Like, just looking at it that way, it's like, yeah, I would totally have this. And like, I would feel so much shame. Like my flesh and blood trusted me with their flesh and blood, and I betrayed that trust. Like almost to the point where they wouldn't have their own that child with them anymore. So it's like, I totally get that mindset. And just all the stuff with Kylo Ren and Rey with them talking through the Force, love that.
Yeah.
That addition was something I never seen in Star Wars before. I mean, we've seen sort of communication to the Force before, but not to this level.
Yeah.
And I really, well, we see it a little bit in Rebels, but not to this extent of them, almost seeing each other's minds and things like that. So everything to do with that, I absolutely loved.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I agree with the Luke thing.
Mm-hmm.
I liked getting the backstory of the whole thing with Luke and Ben, and how it was kind of like a he said, she said.
Yes, that's another great point.
Like, well, Ben was bad, so I almost killed him, and then Kylo's like, wait a minute, that's not the whole story.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun seeing that like back and forth, and then Rey finally calling Luke out, and
then he gets the full truth.
Yeah, then everything's out on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that because you don't really, it's not too I don't feel like it's too often that you see like full raw weaknesses of your hero, especially a hero of Luke Skywalker's magnitude.
Yeah.
So to see that he didn't really, I don't really know that I would say that he failed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he takes, these kids and makes his own, Jedi school and he senses something within one of them. Maybe he could have approached it a different way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You're a Jedi. You see the future. Maybe you don't really see that there is another way, and that's But to be Luke Skywalker, the hero of the galaxy, and then you feel like, oh God, I created like the darkest energy in the galaxy right now. I created Kylo Ren. And I didn't even think about that angle. I thought it was mostly about, wow, I created Kylo Ren. I unleashed that on the galaxy. That's on me.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the
angle. The personal angle, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my nephew. That's my sister's. That's the son of my sister and my best friend.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought about that.
And you betrayed their trust. It's like, because Luke says, like, it's like, because like Han was, was Han about it. He was like, whatever. But like, but then he like breaks down stuff. But Leia, she trusted me. Yeah. And it's like, I betrayed that trust. And that's just something that I always go back to. It's like, people are like, why did Luke just like, why would he want to join the fight? It's like, he feels so much shame. Like, I would too, if that was me in that situation. But another thing that I really, really enjoyed, and I think something that Rian Johnson hit on in this movie that I don't think a whole lot of other people notice and other filmmakers ever really touched on this, is balance in the Force. This whole idea of like what true balance means, and how people view, because like we've seen people or like characters in Star Wars, like I had this vision, and Rian Johnson really dove into the fact that like the Force shows you something, but how you interpret that something can really determine your path on the Force. Because with I think Kylo Ren, Rey, and Snoke all see this moment of what Kylo does to Snoke, but they all interpret it in 3 different ways. Rey sees Ben turning to the good, betraying her his master.
Right.
Snoke sees it as him turning on his true enemy, which he thinks is Rey. And then you know what I mean? And
then Kylo Ren sees it as, I'm turning on my master and gaining a dark partner.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's and to the other point of view, saying that with Luke, that full truth that she has to tell, they tell us right about what happened at the Jedi Temple. We see that again with 3 different points of view. Luke sees it as him going to Kylo Ren and him turning on him, and then we get Kylo Ren's point of view. It's like, oh, he saw it as his uncle and master going to kill him because he was threatened by his power.
Yeah.
And then we get the full truth, which is basically a combination of the 2 stories, and that's the full story.
Yeah.
So I like this idea of Rian Johnson toying with perspectives and perception making your reality and stuff like that. I really like that point that Johnson brought forward.
And on that same perception train that we're on here, let's talk about the perception of what Holdo's plan was with Poe. Or do we not want to jump there?
We'll get to that. So is there anything else that you really, really liked about The Last Jedi?
Well, if we're going to talk about one scene in particular, talking about Holdo, I think that the single most beautiful scene and shot in all of Star Wars is that scene when Holdo does her Holdo maneuver and she, just rockets through that Imperial ship, and she doesn't break it like clean in half, but she definitely she breaks it into pieces.
Yeah.
And I just the fact that
silence,
it was silent, the backlighting of it was dark, but the backlighting of the ships and the light just like shining through the cracks of where she flew through it. I just thought it was a gorgeous shot, and I love that shot, and I love the fact that they made it silent.
Yeah, and every screen, because I saw The Last Jedi I think 3 times in theaters, and every time we get to that point, the entire theater is dead silent,
and that's what I love about it.
There's just this. It like goes boom, and there's no sound. There's not even ambient noise in the track. It's just silence.
Dead silence.
That's the exact way it was in the theater, and like it's so breathtaking. What are your thoughts about that? Because I hear a lot of haters out there about this Holdo maneuver, that it breaks Star Wars.
Why?
Because they said if this is something that they could have done all together, why not do that on the Death Star?
Just fly a plane through the Death Star?
Yeah, just like shoot a ship into hyperspace at the Death Star. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have my own. Because I've watched a whole bunch of videos on this and theories about this.
I haven't heard that before.
So what would you like? What would your argument to be for the Rebels not to do that, and why haven't they done it since then? or yeah, like why didn't they think to do that? And the obvious answer is like it's because Lucas didn't think of it when he was writing. That's the obvious.
Answer.
But when you dive into the lore of why they wouldn't do that.
Well, I don't think I know enough about lore to give you the correct answer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess where my brain first goes is like, well, the good thing about the way they destroyed the first Death Star was that at least there was nobody alive to take revenge on you. Everybody on the Death Star was dead except for Vader.
Yeah.
Everybody died.
Yeah.
No more Tarkin to come after you.
And that's my big point with that, because like, all right, the holdout maneuver happened.
Everyone's still alive except for whoever was in that path.
Yeah, exactly. So the point of the Battle of Yavin was to completely destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
Not to cripple it, not to like, I'll just stop it from blowing up Yavin. It was to destroy it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. Snoke's ship, the Supremacy, was still functional.
Yeah.
So you could still fly ships out there. They were able to get the ATs and all the equipment down to the planet and still come after you.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like, I guess the other difference is if you're not able to completely destroy it, you might as well disable it. And also because Holdo wasn't doing it to, destroy and blow up the ship. She was doing it as a distraction so they could get away.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just so happened that Finn and Rose's little jaunt through, Canto Bight really foiled that escape plan. So had they not gone to Canto Bight and effed everything up, Holdo would have been the hero and she would have distracted them. They would never have known they went to Crate.
Yeah.
But she wasn't trying to, blow up a Death Star. She was trying to create a diversion, which she would have done if not for Canto Bight. So.
Yeah, but like I think that's the biggest argument. I would say to people, it's like the ship's still operational. It's just not as operational as it was 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's gonna take them a bit to get.
But also, like when you have a small resistance fleet with 4 ships, every ship counts, every person counts, and I think that's a big theme of The Last Jedi, that every single person you have in your arsenal matters, and when the second you lose somebody, it's just makes it that much harder to fight fight the First Order. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, like the Raddus was the biggest ship that Leia's ever been in command of, and like it's just size of things matter when you ram things into each other. So there's a whole bunch of videos on the internet you can watch.
And they're always talking about how it was really drilled home in Rise of Skywalker, but it's always been a theme of Star Wars that there's more than them than there are of us. So you don't exactly want to send out, pilots on suicide missions.
Yeah.
You want to conserve everything you got. I mean, obviously a lot of X-Wing people die because, battles and stuff. Yeah. But they're not going out there with the intent of knowing, all right, this is my last flight.
Yeah, and that's the biggest difference between the Rebellion and the Resistance versus the Empire and the First Order. There's this saying in I believe Alphabet Squadron book that it says TIE fighters have this saying that says fly and die. Like you basically fly out, you don't know if you're coming back because they're ill-equipped ships. They have no hyperspace, no shield generators, and like it's just you and your skills. And the biggest advantage TIE fighters have is there's a lot of them, and that's the only advantage TIE fighter pilots have. So I think that's a running theme between that runs through the Rise of Skywalker, or not the Rise of Skywalker, the Last Jedi. But let's go move over to what we didn't like about the Last Jedi.
Yes, my first thing would be Canto Bight. Everything about that mission. Yeah. It doesn't ruin the whole movie, but I definitely don't like it. I feel like Rose and Finn were, and I know that I'm not revealing any huge, it's no big revelation. I'm no, crazy thing that no one's ever said before, but Finn and Rose. Finn and Rose were criminally underused and incorrectly used in this movie. They got.
Can we say that on this show?
I don't know.
I'll bleep it out.
If a kid doesn't know what it means, tell them it's the sound a chicken makes.
But yeah, the whole mission with Finn, like, and I heard this argument from several people that like Rian Johnson clearly was more interested in writing for the Luke Skywalker, Rey, and Kylo Ren story than he was the Resistance side. And he's like, oh yeah, let's just have him do this, and then I want to really focus. And my argument to that, especially if that was Rian Johnson's mindset, if this is a franchise, you have to deal with every single character.
Yeah.
That's why they brought you on. The Russo brothers didn't go on to Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. It's like, well, I don't like those characters, so I'm just gonna shoot them off the side.
Send them to Candlebite.
Yeah, exactly. Avengers Infinity War and Endgame works really well because each character has a piece, a place in the story. It doesn't feel like that with The Last Jedi. It felt like this mission was just like, oh, well, they have to do something, so let's send them on this mission. And that thing
the thing that they set out to do, they don't even do it.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
And there are arguments to say like, well, not every mission always ends in success for like, the Resistance and the Rebels.
Sure didn't this time
either.
either.
And it's like, yeah, I get that, but like my biggest problem with this storyline is Holdo. And like Holdo, the character, it has some great roots in a novel with the Princess of Alderaan book. She has this great history with Leia that wasn't brought to Laura Dern's attention because she's like, oh, what do you think of Laura Dern? Like, what do you think of Holdo's history with Leia? And she only knew what she knew in the context of The Last Jedi. But she's like, oh, you know that your character has this great history with Princess Leia when they were teenagers, right? She's like, no. I had no idea of that. It's like, why not give her this book, or at least give her the cliff notes of the book?
Yeah.
So just to add to the character. But like her in this, in The Last Jedi, to me, and I have a whole video about this, it's like, it's just like she just wants to put Poe in his place. Like, nope, I'm in command.
Yeah.
Just listen to me. You should trust me. And I've always been one to like think like, why not tell Poe the entire story? Why not tell him you're doing from the very beginning? Because by the time he learns what you're doing, he's like,
that's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Let's do that. It's like, well, you could have saved us. You could have saved all of us so much time. Yeah. So much headache. And then there would have been more of us at the end of the movie than just like 5 of us at the end.
Exactly.
So, and people are always saying like, we're like, well, that's how storytelling is. Like, this wouldn't happen because they send out Finn and Rose and they come back and they leak the information to DJ, which leads them to do this. It's like, I get that. That's how movie and storytelling works.
If there was no conflict, there wouldn't be a good movie.
Yeah, exactly. I get that, but my argument is looking within the universe. This is a bad move on Holdo's part because she's basically responsible for the Resistance being whittled down to like 10 people. Near the end, like had she been honest with Poe from the very beginning, he wouldn't have sent Finn and Rose out. Wouldn't have wasted time and effort. It's like, all right, this is what we're doing. We sacrifice the rest at the end of the ship movie anyways. So, but we still get the 30 ships down to Crate. First Order says, all right, they're gone. We're done. They peace out, and then we have this pocket of Resistance that can still be around to fight everybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. It's like, why? Because like it just kills me. It's like he tells Leia, it's like, yeah, that's a fantastic idea. Like, that could work.
What did you gain from not telling Poe?
Exactly.
Was it just a power game?
Yeah. And it's to be argued that another running theme with The Last Jedi is there are 3 main characters: Poe, Finn, and Rey. This movie's full of lessons that they have to learn.
Yeah.
Poe has to learn that sometimes it's better to run away, to live another day, than to try to be a hero and fight head on.
Yeah.
Finn learns that.
Just made me think of something stupid. Go on.
But Finn's lesson is to learn that to finally pick a side and not be so wishy-washy and like, oh, don't join. Should I join? Do I join? Where do I commit myself? Do I continue to run away and be a coward, or do I stand and fight with who I believe is the right side to join?
Yeah.
Rey's lesson is that she goes to Octo to look for answers and like, oh, all the answers should be here for me. But the hardest thing for her to learn is, no, you have to go out and find those lessons for yourself.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to be given to you. And that's the hardest things that she has to learn in this movie. I get that, but God, you could have found another way to teach Poe and not be so costly to the Resistance. Because going into The Last Jedi, it's like, well, now we got to rebuild all this stuff up. And they're still really, really small in the Rise of Skywalker. The Resistance is full of maybe 14 X-Wings, and it's like no more than 30 X-Wings. So it's like they were put in a really bad spot by the end of this. So I just don't get Holdo in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah. And I like the way you put it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not that we're saying Rian Johnson was stupid writing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because, it's going to, if you got a movie where nothing goes wrong, it's going to be pretty boring. Yeah. I like thinking about it like, no, if I'm in the world and I'm part, and it's real, and I'm standing there with the characters, here's why I think Holdo made a bad strategic move. I like looking at it like that rather than, oh, the movie was bad because they shouldn't have done this. No, the movie was fine. They had conflict. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
If they didn't go to that stupid scene in Canto Bight, then DJ wouldn't have got the information.
It's been a short movie.
It would have been a really short movie. They would have escaped to Crate, and everybody would have been happy. It would have probably been like a 1 hour movie.
Yeah.
So conflict had to happen. But I like thinking about it that way. Like, let me think within the confines, within the you know boundaries of the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
I'm in the world. Let me think about it as if I'm part of your world, you know. I like thinking of it that way.
Yeah. But like, and I said before, if Rian Johnson really wanted to just focus on Rey, Luke, and Kylo Ren, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
It's just find something a little bit different, because really the Resistance side of this movie is just like an hour and a half chase scene. It's just the Resistance running away from the First Order for half the movie, and then you're right. Well, what's Finn and Rose up to? Okay, whatever. And then we jump back, and that's the meat of the movie is with the Skywalker storyline.
Yeah.
And that's what I absolutely love about this movie is the Skywalker side of it. But it's like, man, every time I go back to this movie, it's like, God, I gotta sit through Canto Bight again, and I gotta sit through this stupid mission briefing that Maz gives Poe and Finn, like, could I do it? Of course I can do it. It's like it felt like a video game. It's like, oh, here's your mission. Go to this place and pick up this person. And it's like, why can't you? And I always thought Lando should have been on the other side of that call. Have Lando make his cameo there. That would have been mind blowing, and would jump that up like 1,000 times. It's like, oh, it's Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that, like, because we've touched on this on the last episode last week, was the humor in this movie.
Yeah,
It doesn't
Some
work.
of it was just, the humor didn't hit for me most of the time in this movie. Just that one part that we talked about last week, that one part where BB-8 is in the walker and you see that stupid look that Finn and Rose give each other.
Yeah.
I hate that kind of like, and then after Finn was finished fighting Phasma, and then now Rose is on the walk with BB-8, she's like, need a lift?
Yeah.
I hate. It's very Marvel-y, and I love Marvel. But one thing, it's like an action movie trope. Is that the right word?
Yeah, like they have to have like one-liners and quips.
Yeah, you have to have snappy, quippy action one-liners to show how cool and carefree these people are, and it just annoys me. And I know it's stupid because, like we said, it's like a sentient droid piloting a machine. I know it's ridiculous. I understand that, but I'm allowed to feel my feelings. Yeah. But I just. Wait, where was I going with that?
The snappy quips.
Snappy quips. I just hate, like, you're in the middle of a war, essentially, and people are trying to cut your head off and shoot you with blasters and cut you in half with lightsabers. If you're in that moment, you're going to be like, get on this, without saying, like, spicy words, like, get on this rocket, we gotta go right now. Like, in that moment, you're not going to be like, you need a lift?
Yeah, and that brings it back to the point that we had. If you inject yourself into the universe at this moment in time, you're not going to be going, hey, you need a lift, Sky Guy? Like, you're not going to be doing that. You meet to their point. It's like, hey, man, we got to go. Get out of here. This is real. Like, so
I would be yelling at Finn, like, let it go. Get on this walker. We got to go. I'm not trying to die today. But, I hate. If there's two things that happen in a lot of action movies that I effing hate, it's quippy little one-liners in the middle of action scenes, like to show how tough and carefree I am. And this is just every day of my life. I'm in these crazy, wacky situations. The other one is either it could be with a weapon or without a weapon, and it has happened in Star Wars. It happened.
The no-look shot.
The no-look shot.
This happened twice.
When you go, bam, or this thing in like hand-to-hand combat movies, when they it's so stupid. I hate it
when used a certain way. I don't mind it. Like the Han one in Force Awakens, I really enjoy. It felt
very Han-ish, so I was like,
I really enjoy that.
Whatever. But when people do like the no look, like back fist, and no look shots with their guns and what I cannot stand it. It's so stupid and I hate it. I feel like you're just, I could go on. I hate it. Those are two things that I hate, and I just feel like when there's quippy stuff like that, it just really takes me out of the moment, and I hate it.
And there's so much of those things in this movie that like I would love to just I want to talk about like hours on end about the throne room scene. Like technically, it's an amazing scene. The editing is fantastic. The way it's shot is great. But I always say
Choreography.
I have problems with the choreography.
Could be a little better.
It could be improved upon, but like the moment of Rey catching the saber and they turn around and like they fend off all the Praetorian guards, I'm like, yes, this is Star Wars. But then the fighting starts and it's like, okay, I wouldn't choreograph that moment that way. That guy's going off somewhere, nowhere. What was that guy's point? What was he doing?
Yeah.
It's like the more I look at it, it's like, the choreography isn't the best. It's very basic.
It's fun to watch.
But like, but compared to other fights in Star Wars and other lightsaber fights, it's like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
When you have like Rey fighting with like one or two Praetorian guards and they're over here, and there's one just standing here in the corner, just like twirling his weapon.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, waiting for my turn."
Like, bro, you could just come in and slice one of her ankles off.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Right
it's just points like that I really like. It takes it down a couple, like, but like technically, as you know, an aspiring filmmaker and somebody who loves watching how the film is made and things. The long sweeping shots, the editing is very on point. It's awesome. It's just the stuff in the frame that I really have issues with.
It's still a great scene.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic scene.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then there are a couple like small stupid little things that I really enjoy. Like I really enjoyed the caretakers.
Oh, the character. That was the point of like humor that I really liked. The character.
Yeah.
Because when she blasts the hole in the hut and like they're trying to fix it, and the character's like, I don't know, Luke, why did you invite this? Oh my god, oh my god.
Nothing but trouble ever since she came on my island.
And the rock hitting the cart. That was a great moment. Like and there's a whole scene that was cut out with the third lesson that was supposed to be taught to Rey. That got cut out of the movie completely, and like the caretakers were having a party with the fishermen that came back, the male side of them came back, and they were partying and stuff. And Chewie's there with R2, and they're partying, and Rey busts in there, and she's like with the lightsaber, and she knows it's a party, and like, hey, and she's like waving her lightsaber, like, okay, yeah, I'm having fun. So,
I'm glad that was cut.
It is but it does have a point to where like Luke was sort of making fun of her and sort of teaching her a lesson, like don't jump in so quickly when you need to like understand what's going on in the situation. There's this whole point of him saying like it's like they do this every month. Like the riders would come every month and pillage the village, and she's like, I gotta help. It's like, do you know what a real Jedi would do in this moment? Nothing. Because are you gonna be here next month for these people when they come back probably even stronger next time? So let things handle themselves as a true Jedi would, but it ends up being a joke. Because it's actually ends up being a party, and he's like, "Oh God, you ran so fast, I didn't have time to tell you that I was joking." So it's like, it's so. But then there's
kind of glad that didn't make.
Yeah, but there's another great moment that like where she just snaps on, and she's like that legend that you hate so much about Luke Skywalker. I believed in it, and I trusted it, and this is what the galaxy needs. They need this legend to come back and inspire people, and like. I was like, oh man, they could have kept that in, but for like the sake of time and like the joke not really hitting with me, I'm glad they cut it out.
Me too, from the sounds of it.
So I mean, you should watch the cutscene. It's good. It's a lot like this movie. It's 50% of it is like, oh man,
it's a fully finished scene.
Yeah, it's like fully finished. There's some effects that are unpolished, like the lightsaber is a little rough, but like. There's half of the scene that everything that Rey is saying, everything that Luke is trying to teach Rey is fantastic. But the joke of it not being pillagers, it's being a party, is kind of like,
I just as soon as you said Rey swinging around a lightsaber, I was like, oh no.
Well, because like she busts in ready for a fight, and she sees the party, and the people are like, oh hey. She's like, oh yeah, I'm here to party too, and it's like,
no,
yeah, so
I'm good.
Anyways, anything else that you want to say about the Last Jedi that before we wrap it up here?
I like the movie. I think it's interesting how polarizing it was. I feel like when it first came out, I feel like the vast majority of people were like, this movie sucks. Rian Johnson more like Ruin Johnson, am I right? And I feel like most people when it came out were just pooping in their pants at how much they hated it. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years go by, and now it's like man, if you think Last Jedi is a bad movie, then you are a dunce. Like, you're an idiot. It's the most perfect movie ever made. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. Everything about it is wonderful. It's just so interesting how I feel like, unless I'm wrong, I feel like the majority of people hated it when it came out.
It depends on who you talk to.
Now it's like, you know, you're an idiot if you think it's a bad movie.
Yeah, the people are it's art and
you're an idiot if you don't see the brilliance in the, you know, production and the composition and everything.
And to be fair, again, like, this is our opinion. Like, this is pretty much how I felt after watching it the third time. It's like I love everything here, but there are other things that I really could have done without.
Happens in every movie.
It happens in every movie. It's just I don't enjoy certain things as much as other people do.
Yeah.
And it's same could be said as for The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I'm on the side of I love the Rise of Skywalker every time I watch it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too.
It's fantastic in my opinion.
And there's probably people that don't like The Force Awakens, and that's my favorite movie, and I will defend it always.
It's my second favorite Star Wars film.
We'll talk about that one day.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it next week.
Maybe.
We're going really out of order of these. But anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up. This episode of Going Rogue, Nicki Dimalanta, where can they find you online?
Twitzers at Dimmy, DIMMMYYY.
As for me, on Twitter and Twitch, Drew Dimalanta, DIMALANTA. Do us a favor if you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening to us on audio form, and go to Apple Podcasts, rate, follow us on the feed. It's on the Beyond the Schmodown feed. Also, if you feel so inclined, join our Patreon, patreon.com/Andrew and Nikki. Become a member of the squadron. We're going to be revamping the tiers a bit, but we have a whole loads of content that we are putting on there. We're trying to get it more focused and not so broad, if that makes sense. So we're scaling down a couple things, and I think it'll be best for everybody, including us. So with that, thank you again for joining us on this episode of Going Rogue. May the Force be with you. Always.